Hey guys, it's Mr. Kram with your Wednesday play opportunity. This is for 5th grade parents because we are stepping into a very big unit on ecosystems. I thought it'd be fun if you guys could make one at your house. And the reason is having a real working ecosystem is going to be helpful for them in understanding a couple of really big concepts. I've written them here, but this is more to keep me on track. Okay, step one, just building this thing, glass container, plastic container that can seal up and can fit one or two, maybe more tiny plants. I use succulents in here, little tiny cactus plants. They're hard to kill. They sell them at the grocery store really cheap. Half filled with soil. You don't need potting soil per se. If your kids can dig up soil, that's awesome. Put the succulents in, a layer of pebbles, about a cup or two of water in here, depending how big your container is, and then seal it up really tight. And what I want them to understand in building this and having it is as follows. Number one, we've got multicellular organisms in here and unicellular organisms. Earlier on in the year, we studied both. The multicellular organisms, really, the kids can define it as anything they can see that's alive and they can see with their eyes. The EOG always asks a question about, like, is this tiny bug a multicellular organism or a unicellular organism? If you can see it and it's alive, it's definitely multicellular. You always need a microscope to see unicellular organisms, to see those one-celled organisms. So here's our multicellular organisms, and the unicellular organisms are going to be the bacteria in the soil. And they are serving a very important role, and that is as a decomposer. And what they're going to do is when anything dies in here, they're going to take the energy that was that living thing, recycle it, and put that energy back in the soil. So decomposers recycle energy. Bacteria are serving that role. Okay, so we've got unicellular. Later on in the year, we're going to study weather, but since we've got an active water cycle going on in here, if you could have that conversation with them, that would be really helpful for them. We've got the evaporation happening, the liquid water turning into a gas. We've got the condensation, which in here will appear as water droplets on the side or on the top. And then we've got the precipitation, which is the rain coming down. It should just repeat itself over and over again. If you can talk about it or if they could draw it out, that would be great. We define in 5th grade an ecosystem as biotic factors interacting with abiotic factors. Living things interacting with non-living things. Now the biotic factors in here, the plants, the bacteria in the soil, they're interacting with the abiotic factors, the non-living things, and that usually 4 of them. Air inside of here, the sunlight coming in, the water, and the soil. Those never were alive, they never will be alive, but they are a factor in here. You need all of them to make this whole thing work. So if you could talk about the living things interacting with the non-living things, that is a very crucial concept for them to understand. And as well, that vocabulary of biotic and abiotic, just repeating that a few times just so they can get that, that'd be really helpful. Okay, this is a terrarium as opposed to an aquarium. And I say that because we're going to study terrestrial organisms and aquatic organisms. And if they could understand that terra, that root word, is earth, land, that would be great. And aqua is water. Just having that vocab fluently talked about in the house, helpful. I think that's it. All right, so build this terrarium if possible. Talk about multicellular, unicellular organisms inside of here. Talk about the active water cycle. Talk about the biotic factors interacting with the abiotic factors. And all of that will give them a really good foundation as we move forward into these new concepts. So if you ever need anything, I'm always around. Questions, comments, concerns, extensions, let me know. And thank you. I know this is it's a bigger activity, but having this really will help them. So thank you all, and have a great Wednesday.